Please welcome TRICIA Martinez, founder and CEO of Walla and the director of the Dollar Foundation.
Woo! Good afternoon. How are you guys? All right. My name is TRICIA Martinez. I'm the founder and CEO of Walla, which is a financial app in Africa, and I am a director of the Dollar Foundation, which is a cryptocurrency. So feel free to tweet out, give us some applause, and reach out to me on my email if you guys want to talk later and connect. But today I want to talk to you about something that's very near and dear to my heart. I've spent my entire career living and working on the ground in Africa, building fintech to solve the problems that exist within emerging markets. And today I want to give you an outline of the problems that exist and the solutions that can really revolutionize the financial systems. 54 countries, 1.2 billion people, nearly 2,000 languages, 863 mobile phone connections, and 298 million internet users. This is Africa, and it is the future. Africa has the fastest growing middle class in the world. These consumers are urban-based, young and hungry for opportunity. Africa has the youngest population in the world, with the majority of consumers between 20 and 32 years of age. And Africa's income is rising. By 2025, consumer spending will increase to $2.1 trillion. Now, even with all this growth and opportunity on the continent, we still have a massive, massive problem. The financial systems in Africa are broken. 792 million Africans operate outside the formal financial system, and there are two reasons for this: access and cost. Now, access can mean a number of things: geographical location, lack of identification documents, you don't have a credit history, or pure intimidation of the financial system. And cost literally means that these systems are cost prohibitive. Every action, every service, every product comes with a massive fee, and for traditionally underserved consumers, this is a massive, massive barrier. So why is this? Why do we always hear about the unbanked? Why is it that banks can't service these consumers? Why are these systems broken? Number one, banks are completely inaccessible and they are costly beyond means. African banks have developed very complex and costly business models. For basic banking services, consumers have to pay fees. So rather than a traditional savings and loans model, African banks become profitable by charging fees to consumers. Imagine here in the US getting charged a fee for every single action you took with your bank. Fees to deposit your money, fees to withdraw your money, fees to open a bank account, fees to maintain your bank account on a monthly basis, even fees to transact at any location, and fees to inquire about fraudulent activity on your own account. Number two, mobile money, the supposed financial inclusion solution for Africa. Who here has heard of M-Pesa in Kenya? A lot of people. Well, I'm here to tell you that just like banking, mobile money is a sham. These systems are not designed for consumer behavior, and they are driven by fees, which disincentivizes consumers from participating. In 2016, over $269 billion were transacted in mobile money. And of that, 2/3 of the transactions were less than 80 cents in value. This means consumers are sending micropayments and transacting in micro amounts. I'm sending less than 80 cents to my mom. I'm spending less than 80 cents to pay for electricity. And with all of these transactions come massive, massive fees that these consumers have to pay for. Number three, the question I'm always asked: so why not Bitcoin? Because as it stands today, Bitcoin is still too expensive and too slow for African consumers. Bitcoin is by far the worst option out of mobile money and banking. Bitcoin, for some reason, is not the solution, and people try to push it down to these consumers and assume that it will work. But there are a number of reasons why it won't. For one, there are no exchanges. South Africa, Zimbabwe, maybe another country have one exchange, but for the entire continent, Bitcoin is literally inaccessible. Nobody can buy it. Fees. Consumers are not willing to pay for massive fees on any payment, as we know with banking and mobile money. Processing time. Do you think a consumer is willing to wait to pay a merchant in Bitcoin, and that merchant is willing to wait 10 minutes just for that Bitcoin payment to be processed into his wallet? Merchant adoption, and this is a problem that impacts Bitcoin users everywhere. You are not going to get adoption if you don't have distribution. South Africa is the only country that maybe has a few merchants who are willing to accept Bitcoin. But if you can't spend that currency, then that currency actually has no value to you at all. And the one thing that drives me absolutely insane is that there are no user-friendly wallets. The Bitcoin wallets that exist are complex and complicated. If we want true adoption for the end consumer, we need to design things that they actually want to use. We need to design things that can compete with cash. Now, whether Bitcoin, mobile money, or banking, consumers in Africa are forced to navigate complex financial systems. And at the end of the day, they are the ones who bear the burden of these systems. That is why cash is king. I can see it, I can feel it, I trust it. Cash is still the most economical medium of exchange for consumers in Africa. Still today, 94% of transactions are conducted in cash. Now, I want you to meet a friend of mine who started out as my Uber driver in Cape Town, South Africa. Obert is originally from Harare, Zimbabwe, and he lives in Cape Town now, works there. And he struggles every month because he has to send money back to his mom in Zim. But the options available to him are very costly and pretty bleak. His first option is to use a traditional remittance service like Western Union, MoneyGram. Just to send money across the border is a 10% fee, not to mention the 10 to 20% fee to exchange into fiat currency. His third option is to literally hand a bag of cash to a bus driver who is going across the border to Zimbabwe. Obert's mother then has to go find this driver in Harare, pick up the cash. The driver charges a 7% fee, and in some instances, this cash never makes it to Obert's mother. His last option is to find an informal agent. So some guy in Cape Town has a friend in Harare who has liquidity. So Obert pays this guy in Cape Town. This guy calls his friend. Obert's mother has to go find the guy in Harare. She picks up the cash from him, and they charge a 5% fee. None of these options are cheap and affordable. They all take multiple days to process a transaction, and they all require Obert to take massive risk. So where do we go from here? These systems are not designed for these consumers, and as you can see, organizations are not incentivized to change at all. What we need is a new financial system designed explicitly for African consumers. We need zero fees. We need to enable instant payments and transactions. We need a borderless solution. And we need to enable micropayments. Meet Dala. Dala enables instant borderless financial system for consumers throughout Africa. Dala is the first cryptocurrency designed for emerging market consumers. A currency enabling consumers and enterprises to move value instantly anywhere, to transact seamlessly, and to save and invest in the long term. Now, as we all know, building a cryptocurrency for true adoption that actually becomes a currency has yet to be proven. That is why we have been so focused on building out ecosystems in every market that we operate with one thing in mind: the consumer. We started by designing an incentives-driven model. In order to drive adoption, we wanted to throw cryptocurrency at these consumers and incentivize them to participate so that they would start using it. The second piece was a user-friendly wallet. We've been spending 4 years on the ground in Africa building and designing, rebuilding, retesting with consumers. And we're happy to say that our product is literally built for the consumer by the consumer. The next piece, and most importantly for consumers in these markets, is zero fee. You need to remove the barriers that exist. We needed to enable zero fee and instantaneous payments. Next is a big piece of building trust. I need to be able to move fiat to dollar, dollar to fiat. If my money is locked within one currency, it might scare a consumer, so we needed to enable exchange functionality within our platform. Most importantly is distribution. Unless you cover every single endpoint, a consumer will not want to use that currency as a true store of value. That's why we've been focused on getting every government, every retailer, every merchant willing to accept this cryptocurrency. And the last piece is enterprise adoption. The second we get enterprises operating in this cryptocurrency and paying their employees in dollar is when we have true adoption. It's when we have become a store of value. So where are we today? I told you before that we've been running for 4 years building and testing. We're based in South Africa. We have operations around the continent. And I'm happy to say that we're live in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Uganda. We have users who are buying dollar cryptocurrency. They are sending this currency to friends and family. They are spending this currency on utilities, electricity, TV, data for their mobile phone. And they're also earning dollar as a reward in our platform. And we're growing. This year, we are expanding to 10 markets throughout Africa and even in the UK so we can build a truly borderless solution so consumers can move money instantly anywhere. Now, the big question. What does the data look like? Are consumers adopting? What is happening? I have to say that we have been the most bullish on this opportunity in Africa, but we have been completely overwhelmed by the uptake in growth. We, in the last 2 weeks now, have been growing exponentially throughout the markets that we launched in. We're already seeing $115,000 transactions a day. 60 new users per minute are signing up for dollar during our peak hours. The average median transaction, 27 cents to pay for electricity bills, to send money to a friend. And users are spending, on average, 10 minutes and 15 seconds in our app. This is just in 2 weeks. You guys, this requires a clap because this is pretty insane right now. $115,000 transactions in 2 weeks. Now you remember my friend Obert. I'm happy to say that he's a daily dollar user. He buys dollar to send money back to his mother in Zimbabwe, and he uses it to pay for his electricity and TV in South Africa. Now, if there's one thing you all should leave with here today, it's that cryptocurrency has the potential to revolutionize Africa. These markets are young, hungry for opportunity. There's low banking engagement, high mobile penetration. The cryptocurrency revolution has already begun in Africa. Now it's time for financial freedom. Thank you. Are there questions? Oh, I thought somebody was coming up.
A question.
Yep.
What's the split between male and female users? Gender?
Oh, I don't know that on the top of my head, but its vast majority are male users.
Hi, thank you. It was a really good presentation. Curious to learn more about the technical details of the blockchain.
Yep.
How come you have 0 transaction fees? What is the real speed, transactions per second, etc.?
Yep. Yeah. So we're an ERC20 token operating on the Ethereum blockchain, and we've been one of the companies who's working with the Raiden team. So utilizing micro Raiden and soon to be Raiden Network when it's live.
This is very cool.
Thank you.
Hiya. Hello.
Hi.
I was just going to ask, why is it called dollar? Because it sounds uncannily like US dollar.
Why the name Dala?
Because it sounds a bit uncannily like dollar.
Exactly. So Walla is their financial app, and Walla comes from the term Hawala, which is the informal system of moving money in North Africa. And Dala started out as a joke on our team, but we said Africans, when they pronounce the word dollar, it sounds a little bit like Dala, and that will build trust because everyone loves the dollar bill.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. First of all, congratulations. It's a terrific project.
Thank
we
you.
all been sharing and kind of waiting for your success for so long. Congratulations. And how are you guarantee the stability of the currency, not fluctuation and etc.? Is something related to Africa or not?
How do we manage the stability?
Yeah, the stability, not fluctuation of the currency.
So currently, as we're in testing and scaling this, the app and the cryptocurrency, we've set the price at the token sale price, which is 10 cents. So a user will not see any volatility. But what's different about what we're building is we're getting the cryptocurrency out in the hands of millions and millions of users. The more reach it has, the less volatility it will likely have because it's not used as a speculative instrument. It's literally used as a store of value. So we have people transacting with it already, not as a means to invest. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What's the government reaction for against? If you set the price and leave it constant and there's high inflation, don't they have to transact in a hurry?
So we're not setting the price. So the price is in the immediate terms set so we can test with users, but we're going to have it market driven, so supply and demand based shortly. But the reaction from African governments have been very progressive. So surprisingly, we're working closely with the South African Reserve Bank, the government in Zimbabwe. Most of these governments recognize that crypto can solve the financial inclusion problem and that it can actually do potentially more good than anything else. So they don't want to implement any policy yet or shut anything down. They want to wait and see what happens. So we have at least a few years to run wild and get this out to as many people as we can.
What percentage of the population have access to an iPhone? And as you know, about 630 million people don't have access to electricity. I'm curious to see the adoption of your payment system with renewable energy, and what would be the challenges you will be facing?
Yeah, so pretty much the entire continent does not use an iPhone. It's Android. Smartphones are becoming cheaper and cheaper every year. We're going to get more adoption. So as a whole, the continent is probably 20 to 30% smartphone users, but as every year that's growing. And in my presentation, you saw that we're targeted on this emerging middle-class consumer. So we see that in order to drive adoption up and down the socioeconomic level, you need to support the middle-class consumer first, because they're the ones who are urban-based, who send money back to the villages, to their family, and they're the ones who are going to get their mom to get a phone because they're saving a lot more money and more time. So the consumer we focus on is smartphone-enabled.
You mentioned you're using ERC20 tokens, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you're doing an exchange within the wallet.
Do we have an exchange within the wallet? Yeah, so right now we're the ones performing exchange in all 3 markets, but we're working with, there's just not many exchanges in Africa, which is unfortunate, but there's a few that are popping up that want to work with us and scale this, because we don't want to manage that ourselves.
Oh, is the plan not to have that within the wallet happening automatically, cross-chain or something, perhaps?
Is it the plan not to have what?
To have exchange within the wallet?
It is. So right now a user will see their dollar wallet, which is equivalent to this rand amount or a Ugandan shilling amount, and they know they can send X amount, and at one of our merchants cash out, and the rate would be, whatever it is. But there's no exchange risk right now because the token is set at 10 cents, so they know exactly how much it's worth.
All right, thanks.
Hi.
Can I ask? Oh, hi. My question is, how many users you have active in the system, and what is the dynamic of growth?
Yeah, so in just 2 weeks, we've had 50,000 users sign up for Dala, which is really insane. Our systems have been going haywire because we were expecting that maybe in 2 months. The crazy thing is that of our download rates, 90% of users are actually registering and finalizing everything to get a Dala wallet. So these numbers have been blowing our minds because we weren't expecting it. So active users right now are relatively high, but it's also only 2 weeks. So behavior will constantly change.
From which region they are coming from?
So the vast majority right now are in Uganda. Because we've been working on the ground with consumers for 4 years there. We're newer to South Africa and Zimbabwe, but we're targeting the remittance piece that is really going to support those consumers. So what we've learned is that it is about trust. You need to get consumers to trust you and to build systems with them. That's why right now Bitcoin doesn't make sense for consumers because they don't know it and they don't trust it.
Who is covering network fee for the Ethereum transactions?
Is there a what?
Who is covering network fee, the gas price?
We are. So Walla is the launch partner of Dala. So of course there are some gas fees, but Walla as a company covers everything, so a consumer never has to pay a fee.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. How are you doing? So my name is George, originally Kenyan. So my question is, I think you have a great idea. It's a pretty good idea. So for an African to get dollar, they have to get fiat into your exchange to get dollar, and then transfer the dollar to another country or maybe to a friend, and then the friend will exchange the dollar to a fiat.
Yep.
Right? And all this it is done through the exchange.
Through the what?
All the transaction is taking place through the exchange.
Through the exchange.
Like, for example, changing the dollar to the fiat.
To fiat, yep.
So pretty much, dollar is for transaction purposes. An African will not use the dollar to buy a particular product because stores don't have maybe an application to accept dollar, right?
So we've built, through our ecosystem, we have 100,000 merchants on the ground in Africa who are accepting dollar payments. We're integrating with some of the biggest retailers throughout Africa who are accepting dollar payments as well. So we're the ones who are enabling that, and on the back end, we're doing the exchange function. So we are operating as an exchange.
So does the consumer have to go to a store with a phone?
Yep, so
pretty
they'll,
much to
a QR code. So they would go to a store or a merchant,
Okay.
like literally a merchant on the corner, buy a bottle of Coke, they take their phone, scan a QR code, they pay with dollar, that merchant receives the dollar instantly, and then we manage the settlement with the merchants.
So what's your catch? Because you don't have any transaction fee, no maintenance cost. Pretty much the consumer will not spend anything using your platform. So what's your catch?
What's our cut?
Yeah.
So our vision is to be the WhatsApp for finances in Africa. We see value in getting 100 million users on our platform with no fees than charging fees with 1,000. But Walla actually works in partnership with banks. So a user who comes to our platform gets a dollar wallet. They can also open up a fiat account through our bank partner. They can also apply for a fiat loan. And on those products and services, our bank partners pay us for every, the interest generated on loan, interest on assets under management. So a traditional savings and loans model we make as well.
But then I'm guessing at the end of it all, once you get enough users on your platform, you're expecting to charge consumers using your platform. I mean, it's not going to be a free transaction throughout.
Say that again?
Are you planning to have the consumers transact freely throughout?
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
There are no fees. That's the thing. So they're not. There are minor fees that don't matter right now. So Walla as a company covers it, but it's minuscule.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to me on email or anything. I'll come talk to you.